When it comes to money, do you ever feel stressed, overwhelmed, vulnerable, insecure, or unfulfilled? Money is on our minds every single day, whether we like it or not. It's also one of the largest causes of stress in people's lives, and it's probably the number one reason people get divorced. I wanted to make this video because, frankly, I'm tired of seeing all the help that I see online. The influencers telling people to just start a high-ticket coaching business or just buy some rental properties, just get a small business loan and buy yourself a car wash, as if any of those things are simple and easy. So much of the advice out there is astronomically ridiculous for everyday people like you and me. But if you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, vulnerable and insecure, dissatisfied or unfulfilled when it comes to your money, I want to give you a simple fix. I said simple, not easy. Simple. Elementary, really. Your finances are like a three-wheeled vehicle. Think of it like a trike if you're like me. Your money is a three-wheeled vehicle because there are really only three things that you can do with your money. You can spend it, you can save it, and you can give it away. Now, and you know this, if any one of your tires is flat, it's going to be difficult for your financial vehicle to get you where you want it to go. So here's what you need to know about each wheel and the feelings that go with them. First, the spend wheel. If your money's got you feeling overwhelmed and stressed out, it's likely that your spend tire is flat. And this happens for one of two reasons. The first is that you just don't stick to a spending plan for each paycheck. Maybe you haven't decided on paper or on purpose how you'll spend your money before you actually get it. Maybe you're just swiping away, accumulating stuff, buying what you want, what you feel like you need, when you want it, and hoping it all works out by the end of the month. But when that end comes, there's often just too much month left and no more money, right? You naturally are going to feel stressed in that situation. So you swipe your credit card, you take the loan, you dip into the line of credit, which leaves you feeling perpetually behind, like you'll never be free, hence the feeling of overwhelm. And listen, I know this feeling. I've been there. We've been out to dinner and having drinks on a Sunday night, and I knew that when the bill came, I was going to be spending money I didn't yet have. I was constantly robbing tomorrow to pay for today, which means I was always behind. Student loans, car payments, mortgage, or the rent. With the price of groceries these days, it's super easy to feel like you're falling behind. The second reason you might feel this way is that even if you do make a plan, maybe your plan's not accurate. It doesn't reflect reality. Like thinking, oh, your groceries are going to cost $400 every 2 weeks, when actually it's $500, which leaves you feeling, again, behind. The point is, if you're stressed or overwhelmed, falling behind in your finances, it's likely because your spend tire is flat. So what's the fix? How do you patch and pump it back up? Well, an ancient philosopher once said, the borrower is slave to the lender. That stress you feel is slavery to payments, to banks, to loan officers. Now, when you find yourself in that situation, that same ancient philosopher advised, allow no sleep to your eyes, no slumber to your eyelids. Free yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, like a bird from the snare of the fowler. In other words, with intensity, break free from that cycle of falling behind. That's how you patch the tire. When my wife and I were getting out of our $80,000 hole, we literally cut up our credit cards. And I got a part-time job on top of our full-time jobs. It was about reducing expenses and trying to increase income to get out of the hole. That's how you patch the tire. Before you start pumping it, you've got to stop the leak. But once you've patched it, you can pump it up. And that means making a spending plan for your money. Figure out how much your life costs. This is going to force you to decide between wants and needs based on the pressures that you're under in your life right now. But listen, there's so much ancient encouragement, especially in the Christian tradition, to choose to live modestly. The author of the letter to the Hebrews encourages us to keep our lives free from the obsession with money and to be content with whatever we have. The Apostle Paul tried to offer himself as an example of someone who had learned to be content in every situation, whether he had a lot or a little. Practicing contentment is about just saying no to a new car payment or swiping the card when you know there's no money there or overindulging when eating out. I promise, if you do this, it'll reduce, maybe not eliminate, but it will reduce the financial stress in your life. Put simply, to keep the spend tire well inflated, you need to live on less than you make. But maybe your problem isn't stress and overwhelm. Maybe it's more like anxiety or fear and insecurity. If that's the case, it may be that your save tire is flat. A July 2024 survey found that over half of Americans couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency without using a credit card or going to a bank for a loan. Over 1/3 couldn't even cover a $400 emergency. If your money's got you feeling anxious, vulnerable, or insecure, it's likely because you haven't built a buffer between you and the chaos of life. That same ancient philosopher I mentioned before also wrote, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but the fool gulps down all they have." The point is that failing to plan for the future is planning to fail in the future. Don't consume everything that comes in, he says. If you do, you won't be able to build up a store for when you hit rough patches. And you will hit rough patches. Even if you're out of debt and living on a spending plan, if you're not building an emergency fund and life throws you a curveball like a car repair or roof repair or hospital bill or dental emergency, you can end up falling behind and then add stress and overwhelm to your fear and anxiety. Listen, nothing in this life is guaranteed. But planning for emergencies by building an emergency fund and a healthy retirement account to take care of you in the future, doing those things will pump the tire called save. And in turn, that'll reduce your financial insecurity, anxiety, and fear. Now, this last one might seem like a far-off luxury for a lot of people, but it's a wheel that you should maintain no matter where you're going in life. If your finances have you feeling unfulfilled or you're worrying about your own selfishness, it's likely that your giving tire is flat. Generosity is one of the most life-giving things that you can do with your money. And there's a strange universal principle that's almost close to magic when it comes to money. Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. And then your barns will be filled to overflowing. Your vats will brim over with new wine. This ancient wisdom says that if you honor God with your wealth by giving a portion of it away, you're going to see an increase in your own stores. The Apostle Paul says something similar. Remember this, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. There is so much research that points to the fact that generous people are happier people. So if you're feeling unfulfilled or unhappy with your money, it may just be that your giving wheel is a little bit flat. So how do you pump it up? Well, I'd recommend asking yourself, what breaks my heart? Or what makes my heart swell when I see it happen? Find those causes that do those things and give to them. Find opportunities in your personal life to do those kinds of things in your own community and give. I promise, generosity will help those feelings of being unfulfilled. That's it. That's the fix. Spend, save, give. See what I mean when I say it's simple but not easy? To recap, if you're stressed and overwhelmed, you've got to fix your spend wheel and get out of debt. If you're anxious, fearful, or worried, you've got to fix your savings and build your emergency fund and plan for retirement. And if you're feeling unfulfilled, you got to pump up that generosity tire. To go anywhere financially, you need to maintain all three. Now, of course, the question inevitably is, well, how much of each should you be doing? And that's really up to you, based on your age, your stage, and your current financial situation. One super basic plan is 10-10-80. Every check that comes in, put 10% toward giving, 10% toward saving, and live on the remaining 80. But maybe you don't need to spend 80. Maybe you could save more or give more. Maybe you need to get out of debt, and it's going to look more like 1%, 98% until you're free. Like I said, it's up to you. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. My hope is just to give you a simple way to determine, how do my finances have me feeling? And then what's a way forward? And I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. Your net worth isn't the same as your self-worth. After all, this isn't a finance channel. This channel is all about helping you understand and practice the Christian faith, especially if you're not going to church right now. As a Christian, I believe that your self-worth is already guaranteed because God loves you. No matter what mistakes you've made or how far you feel from where you want to be, God loves you deeply. He thought you were worth dying for. So, what's one step towards inflating that flat tire that's got you feeling flat? Is it cutting up and paying off the credit card, starting a small emergency fund, or giving to a cause that touches your heart? Whatever it is, you got this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.